This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening everyone and welcome to Southern Cross News. A Good Samaritan has rescued his neighbours from a fire that tore through their Brighton home in the early hours of this morning. The couple's home has been completely destroyed and Tasmania Police is now investigating.
Brodie Hawkins woke early this morning to see his neighbour's house lit up like this. After kicking in the door, he rushed inside, helping the couples and their pets escape uninjured.
Went outside and had to get the old lady and the old man out from inside. So I was stuck in there trying to get their animals out. So yeah, the place was just real smoky. Had to get down on the ground and look around for them. It took 10 minutes to get the residents out of the inferno. Mr Hawkins running on adrenaline to help his neighbours. Oh, anyone can do what they can do, like when it comes to a circumstance like that, just try to help. Emergency services were called to the blaze at around 4:30.
When we got here, the house was fully involved at the front and all the occupants hadn't been accounted for at that stage. So besides trying to extinguish the fire, we went into search mode. Happily, the occupants had escaped the house before.
The blaze took fire crews nearly half an hour to extinguish. The elderly couple are unharmed but still shaken, knowing that their home is now destroyed.
It's caused extensive damage through the whole house, pretty much totaled in the front of the house, but smoke and heat damage to most of the other areas of the house.
A 28-year-old woman who was in the house prior to the fire has been taken into protective custody. She was also uninjured but transported to the Royal Hobart Hospital under the Mental Health Act. Tasmania Police is continuing to investigate. Rebecca Main, Southern Cross News.
The Premier is tonight being accused of a lack of transparency over his government's proposed changes to Tasmania's gun laws. Opposition parties claim the policy was rushed through before the state election and is in contravention of the National Firearms Agreement. But the Premier is assuring us his government wouldn't put Tasmanians at risk.
A fiery question time, the Speaker of the House pleading with members to quieten down.
The decibel readings in this room can be heard in Launceston.
The Premier bearing the brunt of the chaos. Revelations that Tasmania Police sent advice to the government over its proposal to change gun laws, claiming they could be in breach of the National Firearm Agreement.
Either Mr Hidding provided you with dishonest advice, or you are aware of the internal police advice that your changes did breach the NFA and were blatantly dishonest with Tasmanians about an extremely sensitive issue on the eve of a state election.
Calls to table advice received from the then Police Minister Reen Hidding about the changes rejected.
I am making it very clear we will do nothing that compromises the NFA. No legislation we will bring before this place will do that.
Mr Hodgman quick to shut down accusations of a lack of transparency, saying he wouldn't risk Tasmanians' safety and our gun laws had been changed 14 times since the Port Arthur massacre.
We will stand by our policies. We will be quite prepared for this one and any uncertainty that exists around it to be tested during the parliamentary inquiry.
It's clearly a thought bubble that was cooked up between the gun lobby and the Liberals before the election. It was produced in secret.
The changes include allowing silencers, changing storage requirements, doubling licences from 5 to 10 years and giving farmers increased access to rifles and shotguns to allow farmers to easily control stock and for competitive shooters.
Why is it all of a sudden that we hear that there are problems that need to be addressed? They haven't been debated, they haven't been discussed by the community.
Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
The Tasmanian government has today tabled new laws which could ban outlaw motorcycle gangs from wearing their colours in public across the state. The legislation was an election commitment to crack down on bikies in a bid to curb organised crime.
Outlaw motorcycle gangs use the wearing of colours to recruit and also to intimidate members of the public. The wearing of colours and insignia is also used to threaten people and deter them from then reporting crime or even giving evidence.
Australia is a free country. We use symbols to communicate our political ideas. It is very dangerous for the minister to be in the position of deciding which symbols can be displayed and which cannot.
The proposed new laws still need to be debated and will need to pass through both levels of state parliament before they are implemented. Hydro Tasmania has announced a $500 million bid to replace one of Tasmania's oldest power stations. The company is poised to undertake a major study into upgrading the ageing Tarraleah site and says the move will help Tasmania become the battery of the nation.
It's one of the oldest power stations in the state. Tarraleah provides just over 6% of the state's energy. Now Hydro Tasmania and the state government have big plans for the 1930s site.
Up to a $500 million development to double the capacity for Tarraleah Power Station, and of course delivering hundreds of jobs in the Derwent Valley and throughout southern Tasmania.
The Tarraleah Power Station is 80 years old, and it's a very important part of the Derwent system.
$5 million will be spent on an 18-month-long study looking at replacement options. Construction could take 3 years and see the Central Highlands station double capacity to 220 megawatts. The company says the project will join another major study, examining if Tasmania can double its overall energy through pumped hydro, a method of pumping water back into dams after it's passed through generators. But one analyst says making Tasmania the battery of the nation is easier said than done.
The key point with pumped hydro is that it consumes more energy than it produces. And so pumped hydro is a solution to help the mainland fix its problems, not a solution for Tasmania's problems.
The other risk, he says, is if the mainland finds its own fix first, either through the Snowy 2.0 scheme or more wind farms. Adding more hydro and wind power to Tasmania would also strengthen the case for a second Bass Strait interconnector. All of that will be examined in the second round of pumped hydro studies. Sean McComish, Southern Cross News.
Tasmanians are tonight divided over plans to install traffic lights at the Mowbray Connector intersection. The upgrade will mean traffic will be reduced to 80 kilometres per hour, with drivers stopping for the lights in both directions. Dozens have taken to social media to express their opinion, saying an overpass or a roundabout would have been a better idea, while others are praising the safety upgrade.
There was quite a number of aldermen that were concerned about the traffic lights and believing that it should have been a roundabout, as that would help keep the traffic flowing. But they've argued very strongly with us, and to say that in the long run, and that's talking in the next 3, 5, 10 years, when there's more growth and more cars on the road, that the lights work much better. And they've seen that in areas in Hobart.
Construction is expected to begin later this year. Taswater says it's on track to remove all boil water alerts across the state by August, despite 13 towns still sitting on the list. Today, the council-owned body said it had removed alerts in Gladstone and Cornwall. It's confident it will finish the $60 million program in the next 2 months.
We've removed 15 since August 2016, and we have 13 to go. And another plant we decided that needed an upgrade at Medina, even though it wasn't on the list.
Today's announcement will see more than 150 properties across the northeast access water that meets national standards. Australian Antarctic scientists have taken part in a very daring icy plunge, submerging into a pool cut from ice to celebrate the winter solstice. The below-freezing water was certainly a shock to the system, but 21 of the 26 expeditioners took part in the yearly tradition. Midwinter Day in Antarctica marks the halfway point of the year and means the sun will spend slightly longer in the sky each day. Hundreds will also dare to bear it all in Hobart tomorrow morning for the annual Dark Mofo Winter Solstice Nude Swim. Every night in Tasmania, hundreds of people sleep rough, taking shelter wherever they can to find somewhere warm and dry. And tonight they'll be joined by dozens of business and community leaders for this year's CEO Sleep Out. Our reporter Jessica Moran joins us now live from UTAS Stadium, where the event is getting started. Good evening, Jess. It looks very cold there. How many people are taking part this year?
Well, Joe, around 60 CEOs will be taking part, sleeping out in UTAS Stadium. And with a top of just 2 degrees tonight, it's looking mighty fresh. Joining me now is the State Director for St Vinny's. Tony, what are these guys up against tonight?
As you said, Jess, they're in for a very, very cold night. They'll be sleeping on 2 or 3 sheets of cardboard directly on concrete, but they are allowed a sleeping bag. They will be given a cup of hot soup for their dinner and a bread roll, and that's it.
And I guess this does raise awareness for a much more serious issue in our community, which is homelessness. How many across the state are doing it tough?
Quite a large percentage. In the last 12 months, it's probably risen by 15% from the previous year. People are just finding that they do not have the money for the rents that are being charged at the moment because we do not have enough affordable housing or enough affordable rental properties.
And funding for tonight, where will that go and how much are you hoping for?
At the moment we're sitting at $160,000 and that will go up as the evening progresses. This is our 8th year and we've just topped the $1 million in those 8 years. Now the money raised this year, tonight, will go directly on the homeless by trying to pay rent or bonds to get people into stable housing or trying to stop them from being evicted from homes by paying rent in arrears. It will also go towards the food vans that give out soup and sandwiches to those homeless people.
Well, good luck with it all tonight, Tony. I hope it goes well. And Joe, I do hope those participating have got their winter woolies. It's going to be cold. Back to you.
Yes, I'm surprised you took your beanie off, Jess, but good on you. All the best for tonight. More than $25,000 has been raised at this year's Give Me 5 for Kids long lunch. The event was hosted by Cataract on Patterson, with all funds going to help sick kids in our hospitals.
It's vital funds that's required for equipment for children that are in need and for families at the time of need.
Several local products and experiences were also auctioned off during the longest lunch on the shortest day. RACT Insurance is making it easier for Tasmanians to choose a new car, today revealing the 14 best and safest vehicles on the market. Nearly 200 models have been assessed over the past 12 months, with Mazda and Kia winning the most categories.
We look at the overall cost of ownership, we look at the overall safety of the vehicle, and we also look at its on-road performance. So we're not just looking at what's the best or what's the fastest or anything like that. We're looking at what's going to give you the best ownership experience.
The final list of winners can be viewed on the RACT website. Tasmanian dairy farmers are feeling more confident for the year ahead after dairy giant Fonterra announced its forecasts for the 2018-19 season. Fonterra will open the season paying $5.85 per kilogram of milk solids. The cooperative says strong global demand could see prices lift as high as $6.20 per kilogram by the season's end. Meanwhile, a new dairy deal could see more Tasmanian farmers switch to organic milk production. Infant formula company Bellamy's will spend $5.5 million helping farms become certified organic. Fonterra will process supplies at its Sprayton plant under the deal. Now let's take a look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The Australian share market is at its highest level in more than 10 years, with significant gains across most sectors as investors looked past fears of a looming trade war between the US and China. The ASX 200 index has risen by 59.5 points. And a short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 73.52 US cents and 107.55 New Zealand cents.
Kingborough's TSL season has hit another hurdle, with star midfielder Ryan Matthews ruled out for the remainder of the year with injury, while a last-minute tribunal referral will see another of the Tigers' best sidelined.
He's been one of the few positives for the club this year, but Matthews' broken collarbone now sees the Tigers' tough run home made even tougher.
Obviously, he's flat that he's missing footy and he wants to be out there, but he's excited about the back end of the year, so he'll be in the coach's box. He'll look after our midfield group now.
Marcus Davies will also watch on from the sidelines this Saturday after an email to AFL Tasmania sent from the Lauderdale Football Club prompted a review into this high hit, leading to a one-week suspension for Kingborough's most experienced player.
We can't stop what happened and the nature of how the incident went in, and that's fine. Like, we'll cop it. Marcus does know that he probably did the wrong thing.
Hosting Launceston at home, Bomella remains adamant a consistent four-quarter effort will be enough to see the Tigers secure their first win since round one.
I'm not going to stand up there in front of the boys and tell them we're going to limit damage or we're going to put numbers behind the ball. We go full on trying to win the game of footy first and foremost.
Coming off the bye, the Blues will look to muscle their way back into the premiership debate following two disappointing losses at the hands of Lauderdale and Clarence, with coach Sam Lonigan set to make his long-awaited return from injury at the Twin Opals.
It's kept me hungry and made sure I've ticked some boxes in terms of body and getting myself right to play. So fingers crossed I get through tonight and then move forward into the weekend.
While the Clarence coach is refusing to buy into the hype after toppling the competition's #1 side.
Just because we're the best, or so-called the form team, or one of the best teams in the comp in mid-June doesn't really mean anything.
The Roos face a resurgent Glenorchy outfit at KG5 this weekend, who look to have regained their blistering early season form following a 74-point drubbing of the D's.
They've got a number of top-end talented players that can give us some real trouble, so we're looking forward to the challenge. We need to back up our performance from last week.
Hobart Chargers coach Anthony Stewart has issued a harsh reality check to his players about their lack of physicality following one of their worst losses of the season at the hands of Melbourne.
A bit of a culture within the club over the last 2 or 3 years. When things get physical and tight, we don't react well.
The side travels to Canberra for a double-header this weekend, taking on the Basketball Centre of Excellence on Friday night, followed by the Canberra Gunners on Saturday. Two sides sitting well below them on the Siebel ladder.
We've got to take care of business this weekend. We've got two very winnable games that can really consolidate our top 4 spot.
Despite last weekend's loss, the Chargers remain just one win out of the top 2. Finally in sport, after a long battle with glandular fever, Tasmanian mountain biker Sam Fox is preparing for the ride of his life. The teenager is gearing up for mountain biking's World Championships in September, which puts a pro contact within reach.
Today, Sam Fox traverses Trevelyan's trails. But he heads for the hills of Switzerland in September for a World Championship which could end up having a major payday.
If I can go well at this, it might mean a pro contract, which would be my dream.
It would open up doors to sponsors and contacts to make mountain biking's big time. Juggling this ambition with his final year of high school is a smoother ride than you'd expect.
Luckily for me, mountain biking is sort of my de-stressor, so as long as I'm training, then I'll be able to cope with the schoolwork.
Fox made the World Championship last year, but glandular fever derailed his preparation. He says he'll be back bigger and stronger this time around.
Yeah, I really want to be pushing those guys instead of having them push me.
On the Gold Coast, Rebecca Van Ash has claimed the women's singles crown in Lawn Bowls Australian Open.
She's close.
She's searching.
She's fist pumping. She likes it.
She likes it.
Beck Van Ash
She's
is
done
the
it.
champion.
She's there.
The Invermay product defeated fellow Jackaroo Christina Christic 21-19.
Yeah, well, my little bub on board must be a bit of a lucky charm. So it's he or she's been doing me really well this year. So it's been a good 2018 so far.
Back home, there's a winning streak which is hard to beat. The Northern Rangers women's team has now gone 12 months without dropping a game.
We've had a few years to grow as a team. We do have a few younger players that have been with us for a few years now.
Northern Rangers has scored 88 goals in 19 games while conceding just 11.
We love winning and we love playing the sport.
And another unbeaten team, Northern Hawks, will attempt to go 12 wins from 12 games when it hosts Cripps in the Tasmanian Netball League.
Cripps are pushing for the top 4 at the moment, so like I said, we're going to need 4 consistent quarters.
The game of the round starts at 6:30 Saturday night at the Silverdome. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
Good evening, Hobart. 13 degrees today. Launceston and Devonport both reached 14 with temperatures just below average for this time of year, and they range from -2 at Butler's Gorge to our high of 15 at St Helens and Friendly Beaches. Scratchy weather really, with bursts of sunshine mixed up with a shower or two over the west, north and far south. King Island, Smithton, Lowhead, Ouse and Strawn all 13, Lyre, Weenie 7. A little bit of low cloud over the west of Tasmania with the clear air over eastern areas. The cloud over Bass Strait produced a few showers as well. Cloud is also with a cold front to our west with a second south of the Bight. Cold unstable air in its wake. Low cloud is over southern and eastern parts of the mainland. Tomorrow, the first front weakens ahead of the stronger one to the west, a high-pressure ridge over southern parts of the mainland. A trough sits over Queensland. The wind's mostly northwesterly at 10 to 20 knots, but stronger in the west and up to 30 knots over southern waters, where we have a strong wind warning from Tasman Island to Low Rocky Point. For Friday, a partly cloudy day for Hobart, 14 the maximum, 14 also for Huonville with some early fog, partly cloudy for Campania, 15 the maximum. Launceston tomorrow, early fog, a shower or two later on, -1 overnight, 14 the high, 14 the top for Devonport, an early fog and a bit of a late shower or two for Georgetown, 13 the maximum. For Burnie tomorrow, showers developing, 14, 14 also for Wynyard, Strawn showery and 13 degrees, and for St Helens partly cloudy, 15, 14 for Swansea, Port Arthur, 13 degrees. To the weekend now, and on Saturday, cloudy over the east with a few showers elsewhere, contracting to the west and far south. Showers over the west, south and Bass Strait Islands on Sunday, and on Monday, showers easing from the west and south with fine conditions elsewhere. Another shower forecast for Perth tomorrow, fine and partly cloudy for Adelaide, sunny weather for Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane. Clear conditions in Hobart, 6 degrees at the moment, 7 in Launceston, Devonport currently 9 degrees. Joe, that's it for tonight.
Beautiful. Thanks so much for that, Murph. That's all from the team. See you a bit later. Bye-bye.